using only 3 classes of parameters: weather, pollution, and seasonality. 82% of the signal in pneumonia in São Paulo is explained by environmental conditions. I would like also to show you the recent paper published in Lancet that says what is the percentage attributable fraction of myocardial infarction due to external causes. How one reads this study. Here's the relative risk, or the odds ratio. For instance, inhaling cocaine produces an increased excess of risk of myocardial infarction of 25. But fortunately, the number of people that inhale cocaine on a regular basis is small. So less than 1% of myocardial infarctions in a given population are due to inhaling cocaine. What's the highest risk? Exposure to traffic. Air pollution, 30 micrograms per cubic meter, remember this number, contributes in excess to 5%. Traffic versus air pollution explains 15% of myocardial infarction in our city. This is also measured in our laboratory. But what one can say, if your people have overweight, please lose weight. Stop smoking. Have a better food. But how will you avoid this? The problem is that life is very dangerous, negative emotions, but positive emotions as well. You cannot be happy or sad. Sexual activity as well is very dangerous. So our world is getting more and more dangerous. How does it impact in life expectancy? This is a study in New England Journal of Medicine, publishing in the end of last year, showing that this is the decrement of life expectancy in functional PM 2.5. It's about 0.6 years, about 9 months per 10 micrograms per cubic meter. This is the reason why WHO established the annual level of PM 2.5 in 10 micrograms per cubic meter. Because this is assumed to have about a reduction of 8 months of life. So that's we admitted in function of our habits of consumption of energy. What are the annual levels of PM 2.5 in São Paulo? 28 micrograms per cubic meter, being heavy traffic, 38% of it. Less than 8% of the fleet, or about 80% of fleet, produces 40% of air pollution. So this is a good cost. So this will be a good way of reducing air pollution. If you modify the emissions of diesel engines, you can have a good effect on health. Ozone is another problem. We measure emissions on tunnels, and we measure the potential of what substances are causing, are inducing the formation of ozone, who emits the precursors, and aldehydes, which is a problem of ethanol, acetaldehyde mostly, accounts for 15% of ozone in our situation. But other compounds from fossil fuels, like aromatics, alcenes and alkanes, are responsible for most of the ozone precursor form. So we can then model intervention. So what will happen if we use ethanol instead of diesel? What are in the captive fleet, in the transportation fleet? Please, just in this only this part of the table. If we change 5% of diesel by ethanol, we have a reduction of hospital admissions 224 cases a year of cardiorespiratory diseases, and the economy of $600,000. But if 100% of diesel was substituted by ethanol, we have a reduction of 4,500 admissions and an economy of about $30 million a year in direct costs. If we took about mortality, a 50% reduction of diesel by ethanol of the buses running in São Paulo, we have a decrement of 373 deaths per year, 1 death per day, about. And economy for the health system and for the society of about $67 million. So, last message, to keep in the 10 minutes, is, first, policies aimed to reduce greenhouse gases, which will last, let's say, the effects will be observed in decades, will have some immediate co-benefits at local scale. So there is no controversy about this. And second, these health co-benefits are always never took into account when formulating mitigation policies, which is for me absurd, because what you are asking people to do, if you leave your car in your house, if you stay in dark at night, if you don't eat red meat, if you spare water, it will take 40 to 50 years to have a reduction of greenhouse gases. And the first human entity to be benefited will be the polar bear. This is not human. When ethanol prices increased, people shift to gasoline immediately. So we don't pretend to be better than we are. We have a certain degree of selfishness, of wanting to see immediate benefits in our scenery, in our garden, in our city. And I think that this will be, of course, these numbers can be modified. We are just finishing a new, because these numbers don't reflect the adoption of electronic injection in the diesel fleet, as well as the flex fuel technology for light vehicles. So, but these numbers will be updated because we are doing this external emissions inventory, and this will probably be the next year. But you see, if we compute the costs, avoided costs in health for implementing clear new technologies, we should probably have an extra argument. So this number you give to the stakeholder or public policy agent. This number you should give to the population. This is another way of convincing people to have more sustainable technologies. Thank you very much. I think I keep it in time.
Muito obrigado, Paulo. Vamos passar agora ao Dr. Lennart Hallgren para ouvir a realidade de outros países.
Só falta cativa, só dos 15 mil. A moçadinha que fica no ônibus pega um fumacê danado, cara, no ponto de ônibus. E a dose que o cara recebe no carro com ar-condicionado é uma. Quem está no ponto de ônibus fazendo descarga recebe mais. Tem um nível de injustiça paquete, isso que é muito sério.
Sorry, no, yeah. Okay, I hope everybody can hear me. It's an honor for me to represent Stockholm Public Transport at this very important seminar in Sao Paulo. The first time I'm in South America, the first time I'm in Sao Paulo, of course, then. Before I shortly present what we are doing in Stockholm to make the Stockholm Public Transport long-term sustainable public transport system, I will tell just a few words about where we are. This is a map over Europe. Probably this is basic for everybody, but a little bit for repetition. And you can see Sweden on the map, and the red part is the county of Stockholm, the region of Stockholm, where Stockholm Public Transport is responsible for all the public transportation. In Sweden, we are 9 million inhabitants, and in Stockholm area, 2 million. Quite a densely populated area with a quite extensive public transport system. SL, the authority for the public transportation plan, order, and follow-up, but the day-to-day work with the traffic is in the hand of private operators. SL do the long-term planning, we set the targets, that goes even for what targets we will have for renewable fuels. We are responsible for the infrastructure, not all the buses, but we have a good relation with contractors. And they are, of course, very much also involved in making Stockholm a sustainable transport system. So it's a cooperation with the operators, of course. Why are we intending to go from fossil fuels to renewables? The basis is, we heard in the presentation before, the problems. We are aware of the global climate change, the problem with that. And the politicians in the Stockholm region are very well aware of them. And you could say that the politicians are quite brave, good leadership from the politicians, because we have together with the SL organization set out ambitious goals for the future, moving from fossil fuels to renewable fuels. And the second background to this is, of course, that we are a part of the transport sector, the sector that is emitting most of the greenhouse gases. And as the transport sector is growing, the problem is rising. So if we are a part of it, we, of course, will try to do what we can do to help up. And we are consuming a lot of oil, even in the small country of Sweden. So we need to take care of that. And we are also aware of that the oil and gas reserves, they are decreasing. So if we need fuel in the future, we need to do something about that. So there's not only an environmental problem we are talking about. It's also problems with just having fuel for the buses and for the vehicles, of course. So we need to, there's a security reason, and as everybody knows, the reserves today, they are in unstable regions, and there will probably even in the future be problems. Not only that the supply is decreasing, it could be other problems in regions with oil and gas reserves. And the only thing that we know for sure is that the supply will not meet the demand. We heard that in the morning, several presentations about that. And, well, everybody then knows that the price will take care of if there's a difference between the supply and the demand. So the price for fossil fuel will go up very much. So there is also a very big financial problem inherent in this. And we can see today that diesel, there is a small shortage of diesel, and we will probably not see cheap oil for a long time ahead. So we have clear political ambitions in Stockholm, that has set ambitious targets for the planning of our operation. And the targets says that all train traffic, we have quite an extensive train traffic in Stockholm, a metro system and a commuter